Thank you so much for joining us today. First, I would like to go ahead and introduce the people that I have with me. My name is Lynell Seabold, and I'm the Executive Director of the Ava Gardner Museum. And I have very special friends that have joined me today. This is Lora. She is a board member on the Ava Gardner Museum Board of Directors. She is also our social media guru. Anything we need about social media, I turn to Lora. Over here is my very good friend Ava Thompson, and Ava Thompson is Ava Gardner's great niece and knew Ava as she grew up as the just Aunt Ava, the lady that she loved. And this is Ava Silver, and Ava Silver is Ava Gardner's great niece. She is also Ava Thompson's daughter. And I am very pleased to have you here today. We are going to be talking about the Ava Gardner Select Bourbon. And this is the second release, which will be coming out soon by Seven Jars Distillery in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I am so glad that we have finally been able to get together to have a little tipple of the new second edition of the Ava Gardner Select Bourbon.
Yeah.
Now, here is our unlabeled bottle. When we get a little closer to the official release, we're going to take some glamour shots of the new bottle and show you what the second edition actually looks like. But for right now, we're going to keep that under wraps. But this is the second edition, and we're going to have a little taste of this. I wanted to tell you that the second edition is going to be 102 proof. The first edition was 101. This one is 102. There will be a third edition. That one will be 103.
So we're increasing
Yes,
the impact with every new release.
we are. And every release has been in the barrel longer. The first release was a 5-year bourbon. Standard is 2 years aging. The first one was 5 years. The second edition is 6 years. It's actually close to 7, but not quite 7, so we can't call it a 7-year bourbon. But the third release will be a 7-year bourbon, 5, 6, and 7, 101, 102, and 103. All 3 editions are themed from the Killers movie, and that is not by accident. That was a deliberate part of the creative, because this Ava was the perfect actress for the perfect role in the perfect dress, and I hope we'll have some time to talk about that.
Well, and this beverage is the perfect thing to drink when you're watching The Killers.
It is.
It
absolutely
adds a whole
is.
other level to it.
It does.
I think bourbon gives us a little bit of a reminder of where the roots of it came from.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a little shady past, and that kind of brings up some kind of criminal feelings whenever you're watching the movie, and the movie is definitely not a double cross, but a triple cross. So
And maybe even more than that.
That's
It's
right.
Cross on top of cross on top of cross. You're always guessing.
That's right.
We're going to taste this morning, and I'm really happy that y'all are here to taste with me. And the tasting bourbon is quite different from tasting wine. Ava Melissa, if you will pass our glasses and just hold them still now, and I'll explain why. No swirling.
Thank you.
When you taste wine, and I'm not an expert, but I'm learning. I'm learning about wine, I'm learning about bourbon. People tend to put their nose right to it, and that's not the way you taste and get acquainted with bourbon. I'm told that you hold it 6 to 8 inches from your nose, and you slowly pull it in and let the aroma come to you.
There it is.
And it is a very rich, mellow aroma.
Yes.
Smells really good. Something else that I love about it is the color. It is a rich amber color. That's really attractive to me. So the color and the aroma is 2 stars right off the bat.
Right.
You know you're in for a treat after those
Right.
two.
Now, I think that when you taste wine, you swirl it, but you don't swirl bourbon. You let your bourbon be still, because when you swirl it, it releases ethanol and spoils the aroma. Now, when you actually taste it, you wet your whole palate, and as soon as you do, you exhale slightly. Repeat that, and then maybe even a 3rd time, and it's on approximately the 3rd time that you wet your palate and swallow and exhale that you begin to get the full flavor. And this is what an additional year in the barrel has done for us. The flavor profile is just really amped up. It is tremendous. So let's wet your palate, slight exhale.
And say a little to Ava, right?
I absolutely.
To our Ava.
Yes.
To our beloved Ava.
I'll be the first to say something.
Now I see the whole thing of the exhale though, that's when you really get that little bit of kick.
Yeah, and you have to do it a couple of 3 times. I've been instructed, and that holds true for me. It's on about the 3rd time that now I'm beginning now to taste the vanilla. And the more that you wet your palate with this, then you're going to start to get a little spark, a little teeny bite that is going to remind you of nutmeg.
So what you're saying is we need to take another drink.
That's I'm taking the tiniest of drinks and it still is so full of flavor. It's amazing.
And there's that feeling of kind of warmth
Yeah.
that you feel.
Woo,
and
definitely
some,
better on the second.
Well, and so much of taste is smell. You know, we often don't think about that, but you know, there's the visual, like you said, the appeal of the color of it, the smoothness of it that you can see in the glass, but then also those aromas that are starting to kind of take shape with each new sip really adds to the complexity of it.
And with each new sip, it gets smoother and smoother, making this a great sipping whiskey. You know, if I were sipping this at home, I would put probably 2 small ice cubes in it, but I'm fine to drink it right out of the bottle, just like this, because it does go down very smooth and it is so flavorful.
Yeah, I like mine more without the ice. I like it to kind of warm in my hands, and it kind of gives off a little bit more of its natural aroma whenever it's warm, but it also is very good chilled. We had some last summer that was chilled and it was very good.
Third sip.
Third sip.
It's really good. It really is. Yeah. And it must be 102 because I also feel a little bit up here. It's rising.
So this much should get us through like the first 30 minutes of the movie.
That's right.
And then we
That's
refill
right.
since we're
Yeah.
sipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the setup. This is, you know, where we're figuring out who did what here.
Yeah.
And, what happened to Sweet.
Well, I think it's just delicious, and it's like you said, it's such a great synergy between Ava Gardner and what she loved as a person, and
Mhm.
and the film itself and this product. I think it's just a wonderful marriage of film, star, and beverage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and they're both from North Carolina,
Even
which
better.
is
There you
very
go.
special as
Yeah.
well.
I think that, well, the first edition of the bourbon won a gold medal and was named one of the 50 best bourbons of 2020. This one is even better because of the aging.
Yeah.
But this bourbon has, it's graceful, it has style. It really is well suited to the lady whose name it bears. I'm
seems
really proud
A
of that.
bit smoother. It seems a little easier going down than the first. Now, I liked the first,
Mhm.
but I feel like this is just a little bit smoother. Am I
Yeah.
right on that? Is that some of the aging
Yes.
makes it a bit,
Yes.
Makes it
Yeah.
a little bit more flavorful, a little bit more palatable.
yeah.
But we knew that when we were starting, so we knew it was gonna get a little better with time, just like Ava. She
Better with
She
time.
got better and better with
That's
time,
right.
so.
Well, and I can totally see just sitting and watching. This is such a interesting movie, and there you really get caught up in the
Yeah.
story. And I can totally see just sitting with a couple of girlfriends
Yeah.
and just having a little bit of this and watching this movie. It's like the perfect marriage.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Ava did not have a lot of screen time in the movie, but she was always present.
Yeah.
She was the dark force in the movie, the
Mhm.
femme fatale who would double cross, triple cross anybody to get what she wanted. She did the role so well. I mean, the dress itself, I mean, the perfect dress
Yes.
for the femme fatale, Kitty Collins, set the fashion world on fire.
Mhm.
And Lynell, I understand this is a recreation, it's
Yeah,
not
so
the
this,
original.
in 2018, we asked Danielle Wiggins, who is a one-of-a-kind designer out of Raleigh, and if she could maybe recreate. I showed her some pictures, and she was very excited about it. Huge project for her. She did an amazing job. I was so impressed. It took her quite a while to get this part just right. But she did an amazing job, and we had this on display for a couple of years. It's not on display typically right now in one of our exhibits, but it is a beautiful dress, and she did a great job.
Mhm. The dress itself, the strap was actually secondary to the original design. There was a modesty clause. What was it? The Hays?
The Hays Code.
Hays Code.
Which was often called the production code,
Yes.
which was kind of a guiding principle that the studios worked together to craft.
Right.
But it was very restrictive, and so filmmakers and costume designers and writers, screenwriters, and all of that had to be very creative
Yes.
in how they projected things, how they got across things without saying it
Yeah.
overtly, like they can today.
Exactly. So originally, she had much more cleavage. If you can imagine the dress without a strap, she had much more cleavage showing. It's a little bit more overt. I think this was a genius design choice because the black strap kind of cutting through the alabaster skin, it kind of gave it a more mysterious appeal. But that strap design has really carried through throughout the generations, and very modern actresses have kind of adopted a style similar, and designers have used that style. Dior did a dress for who was it?
Mila
Kunis.
Kunis.
And then Sofia Vergara wore a dress very similar not too long ago in a white design from that was
Donna
Donna
Karan.
Karan.
Well, it's
So
such
it's definitely stood the test of time.
Absolutely.
This design is still being done today, this
Yeah.
style.
it's such a flattering silhouette to have kind of the fitted fabric, that ruching around the waist, and then that dynamic angle,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you said, that really cuts across the shoulders and the neckline, where you don't need jewelry. I mean, it's so
Exactly.
interesting. You know,
classic.
we think of Ava is kind of the epitome of glamour,
Uh-huh.
but you know, she wears this dress with little to no jewelry,
Uh-huh.
and it's the dress and it's her and her presence and her fantastic hair and her beautiful, you know, the way the cinematographer, you know, lit her in the movie and just made that contrast so extreme, which is a hallmark of film noir, to have that really strong contrast between the whitest whites and the darkest darks,
Yes.
almost like a velvet black.
Mhm.
And that's why it still influences. I mean, you can see any red carpet today and see elements of this, whether totally, you know, in your face, it's a recreation, or the essence of it, like you said, with the strap or how it's fitted. It's made such an impact.
The dress itself was a marketing ploy in the beginning.
Yes.
They did the 8-story billboard, right, you know, almost in front of a theater, to kind of drive people in, and so people would see the billboard and then go inquire about it at the ticket booth. So
Yeah, who is this and
sold
what is that
tickets.
movie?
Yeah. The film was very
Yeah.
successful.
Of the 8-story billboard, 3 stories were taken up with Ava in the dress.
Well, that had to be such an experience for Ava, because, you know, as we share in the museum talking about her story and all of that she was in Hollywood for 5 years. You know, she went to Hollywood in 1941 and she was there for 5 years before she had this opportunity, before this film just catapulted her to larger than life. Truly larger than life. And I can't imagine how she felt and responded, you know, to that kind of going from being in smaller bit roles to being all of a sudden, she's a star. At 23. I mean, can you imagine at 23 having...
Burt Lancaster was 32 at the time, and that was his first big film.
What
so
a screen debut to make, for sure.
The two of them were magic on screen. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
There are a couple of lines in the movie that I just absolutely love, because they make me smile, because they are so Ava Gardner. She says to her husband, who takes a threatening posture with her, touch me and you won't live to warn it. And then the Swede steps up to defend her honor, and she said, mind your own business, I can take care of myself.
That's right.
And both of those lines are just so Ava Gardner. She was quite independent and quite able to take care of herself, and she didn't mind standing up to the bigger man.
Well, that's such an interesting point. You know, you made a point earlier talking about how she's not on screen very long, but it's lines like that and the way she delivered them
Right.
that does make her character, and this is true for several of her other films where she's not on screen particularly long, but her character permeates through the whole story and resonates and is constantly being referenced. You know, later Edmund O'Brien's character is saying, you know, I'm going to talk to that Kitty Collins girl. You know, and it's just because she even if she didn't have a large part, she made so much of it. She left such an impact on the screen. And you can see why she's just riveting in this role.
Yeah.
It is truly the perfect marriage. A star at the time of her life, at that moment, to be in that film was just perfect. Could not have been, you can't imagine anyone else playing that role the way she did.
And
I think, sorry, go ahead.
no,
Mom.
you go ahead.
I think the absence of Kitty Collins and the majority of the film was to kind of mirror what the Swede was going through and his desire for her. So as a viewer, as you're watching the movie, you're like, oh, I need some more Ava screen time. She's so pretty. She sounds so good. And then, you know, the Swede is also falling in love.
Sure.
So this is kind of the
longing
image.
and
Yeah.
the longing for her, like
Exactly.
you said, is very prevalent in the film.
As the movie was made, Ava's confidence grew because Siodmak was such a great director for her. He gave her special attention with every scene that she had to film, and special attention, lots of encouragement right up to the very end. When she had the most difficult scene to film in the whole movie. And he came on the set that morning very businesslike and called for action and absolutely ignored her. And she was just crestfallen from the beginning because she didn't get her normal encouragement and help. He made her do the scene over and over and over again, very impatiently. He was not the least bit supportive until she was hysterical, exhausted and hysterical, and she fell down on her knees and delivered her lines in the most convincing way. And then he came up to her, put his arm around her and said, "There, I told you you could do it." He was so smart in working with her.
He adapted his style to her to make sure that he could, that she could reach her potential in that role. And this role was so much about her finding her screen presence.
Yes,
You know, having been
absolutely.
stuck kind of in these bit parts, a lot of uncredited roles, at a studio that, you know, could not have been a bigger studio, but it
Right.
didn't always know what was best for her or what to do for her. And this film was a loan out, in addition to a film she made earlier that year, Whistle Stop, which was also a film noir. She really just adapted so well to that genre, and it fit her personality, and again, that timing in her life, where she was able to kind of, you know, cut her teeth at something, and have people, you know, in addition to Seabold, the producer of the film, who cast the film as well, handpicked her, Mark Hellinger. He really believed in her, believed in her talent, and saw the potential that she could bring to this role, and she certainly lived up to it, no question about it.
So, you know, in the creative for the Bourbon, you know, the choice of the killers is deliberate. In Ava's words, this tells us a lot. In her autobiography, Ava My Story, she talks about Mark Hellinger, the producer. She met him for lunch one day and he pitched the role to her. And she says, "I liked Mark Hellinger at once because I could tell he saw me as an actress, not a sex pot. He trusted me from the beginning and I trusted him. He even talked me into relaxing enough so I could sing that sensual song in my own voice. It has been referred to as an erotic purr. And he gave me a feeling of responsibility about being a movie star that I'd never for a moment felt before until I played Kitty Collins, the perfect role. I'd never worked very hard in pictures, never taken my career very seriously. I felt no burning ambition to become a real actress. I was just a girl who was lucky enough to have a job in pictures. Playing Kitty changed that, showed me what it meant to try to act, and made me feel that I might have a little talent in that area after all."
And I think we can all agree that she had a lot of
A
talent
lot of
in that
talent.
area.
Yeah.
I actually recently rewatched the movie. I've seen it a few times, but hadn't watched it in a while, and I just recently rewatched it, and she really is good.
She's so good.
Not just because I happen to like Ava Gardner. I'm trying
You're a
to-
little biased, but
I
we'll
might be a
forgive
little
it. Yes,
biased,
we might all
but
be.
she's very good. She really conveys this character. That's slightly perhaps conflicted about what she's doing, but still out to get what she needs. But did anybody notice the character's name is Kitty?
Oh yeah.
And what does she order to drink? A glass of milk.
And more milk on top of
I had
that.
not noticed that with my prior watch, but this time I'm like, Kitty's drinking milk.
Do we need to invent a cocktail with milk and bourbon that's
Yeah.
called the
Yeah.
Kitty Collins or
That
something?
exists.
We
Yes.
have
Do we
that.
have
Yes, we
that?
have
Woo.
that.
Next episode, we're gonna
Yes.
drink that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
Just a little splash of milk.
That's right.
I just thought that was funny.
That is
I'm
wonderful.
sure
That's
they
a
did
great
that on
one, too.
purpose.
Sure.
And then the Green Cat Cafe.
That's right, the green cat. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
But her acting is impeccable. It really is in this. She's just got the character nailed down.
And it holds up. You know, that's something that, you know, obviously we talk about Ava all the time because we love her, and talk about the full breadth of her career. But once she felt that confidence, and you can see, you know, kind of the light in her go on in this role in particular, she was so natural. She just had a screen presence that just was innate in her. You know, just that and it just exudes it in this role. And I think that's why people keep rediscovering this film, keep coming back to it, that it's become a hallmark of the film noir genre, that she's become basically one of the archetypes of the femme fatale. And it's because she's just so perfect in the role and brings so much character and uniqueness and originality and authenticity to the part. That, you know, we're going to be talking about it for another 50 years or more, and drinking more of this along the way.
And the American Film Institute has restored this video. So it's going to be around for a long time. And you know, the Killers has endured, but the vast body of her work has held up beautifully over time. And of that we can be very proud.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Especially the family members. And we're always pleased to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's fun for us to be here, and we really treasure our relationship with the museum.
Yes, and we really appreciate the work you guys are doing for the Ava Gardner Trust.
Thank you.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, girls, this has really been nice to have a little tipple with and we are going to have an official release of the second edition of the Bourbon in 7 to 8 weeks. We have been a little bit behind in releasing the second edition because there has been a bottle and a cork shortage.
Supply chain issues. Who would thunk it?
But we are hoping for the end of May for the second official release. And when we release, the whiskey will be in the North Carolina ABC stores, and it will also be at Cask Cartel. If you go to your local ABC store and they don't have it, they are obligated to bring it in for you. So just tell them to place a special order and they will bring it in for you. If you live outside of North Carolina, it is available anywhere in the United States through a website called Cask Cartel. And it can be shipped direct to you. So it has already proven to be a collector's item. We have shipped the first edition to 11 foreign countries, and it is already tripling in price. So if you run across a first edition bottle, you
might want to get it. And if you do have any questions, you can always go to the Seven Jars website. Seven Jars is located in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they can answer any of your questions.
They are also our friends, and this is a passion project for them just as much as it was for us, and they have been the easiest people to work with, and they feel like absolute family now. So
it's so much fun just to go and visit with them. They are a great group of people.
They are.
They are.
And this couldn't have come at a better time. Ava is turning 100 this year, the day before Christmas.
Lots of celebrations coming up this year, and we're going to start it off with the launch of the whiskey. So cheers!
Cheers!
One more sip, everybody.
One more sip.
Yes, one more sip to Ava.
The best yet.
Thank you, ladies. This has been fun.
So wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks, everybody.
Thanks
Thank you.
for joining
Cheers.
us.